And welcome to the United Stand. I'm trying not to laugh as I start this because we're going to be talking about this United shock transfer link and a few other things. Got a massive list to talk about in relation to the game about Arsenal tomorrow, loaning one of the youngster players next season. Some really big news. But let me just start off with this. I've literally just seen this just before I went live. So PSG are trying to get Manchester United kicked out of the Champions League because we've broken a rule, and Champions League rule that all players' shirt numbers and names should be in the same font and the same. And obviously the story is that Mason Greenwood, if you watch the game, he had a different font on the back of his shirt because they had to go and get it printed by the PSG shop on a United pink shirt. So so PSG are trying to get... And I read a PSG fan saying, rules are rules, they should be kicked out, but we know that UEFA are anti-PSG, so it won't happen. I mean, imagine kicking Manchester United out. Their reserves go over to Paris. They're 2-0 down. They win a game 3-1 legit with reserves against Oil French FC. And we get kicked out because Mason Greenwood's name is different to everybody else's on the back because it's a different font. I mean, come on, sit down. You're clutching. You're really reaching there, PSG. Get out of the trophy and go and turn the oil tap on and try again next season. You're gone. But maybe PSG can do us a favour for us. So, I was reading this today, and to be honest with you, I mention it not because I think it will happen, but more because I think that it could happen, and I want to get your opinions on it because I've said my bit on it. And effectively, I read it today, Spanish reports that Gareth Bale has bought a house in Manchester and he's prepared to run down his contract if they don't let him move to the Premier League this summer, and his preferred destination is Manchester United. £63 million bid, £63 million, but Real Madrid want £100 million. I don't care if it's 63 pence. I don't want Gareth Bale anywhere near Manchester United. I will be sick, whether Solskjaer's manager or not. I will be sick if we sign Gareth Bale. Gareth Bale has turned us down numerous summers. He uses us virtually as much as Ronaldo does. He wants to be at Real Madrid. They don't want him anymore. He is 30 in July. He is injury prone. He is massively inconsistent. He is very expensive. Why would we go and do that? Why would you do that? Why would you go and get somebody that Real Madrid don't want anymore, that is steeply declining, that is definitely injury prone and is very expensive? Have we not learnt our lesson from Alexis Sanchez? So I cannot see why Manchester United would do it. But if Gareth Bale was to leave Real Madrid, where's he going to go? Man City aren't stupid. Spurs can't afford him. Arsenal can't afford him. Liverpool wouldn't want him. Chelsea or Manchester United? Well, hopefully Chelsea are more stupid than we are. I think it'd be a stupid signing. But this worries me about Ed Woodward because I think Ed Woodward, as we've seen, he likes the Galactico signing. He thinks they're good. And Gareth Bale is one that really worries me. And I think this is why the director of football is really important. Because we know at Manchester United, even when Mourinho was there, that Mourinho did not have the final say on transfers. Otherwise, he would have got Jerome Boateng last summer. He would have got Perisic the summer before. The person with the final say appears to be Ed Woodward. And if he's got the final say and he thinks Gareth Bale's a good signing, we could see Gareth Bale in a Manchester United shirt next season. And I think we'll be having the same conversations next season that we've been having for the last year with Alexis Sanchez. Yes, Gareth Bale was world class. But what does he bring to Manchester United? And also, even if you think he's good, what does a 30-year-old Gareth Bale bring to Manchester United when we're trying to build something? You know, Sancho helps us build something. Chong helps us build something. Steven Bergwijn helps us build something. Leon Bailey helps us build something. Pepe helps us build something. Gareth Bale has got very little petrol left in the tank. He's not what we should be looking for. And that's what I think. But I'm just looking at there. Use Bale as left back, says Gavin O'Brien. Bale to Barnsley, says Stephen Donnellan. Bale is not welcome at Manchester United, says Israel CM. I would consider jumping off a cliff if this happens, says Reece Hemstock. Bale is still good. He'd be a good option for a year or two, not long term, says Hammond. So there's somebody who says it would be a good deal. We need someone in their prime, says Chester Edwards, or going into their prime. I don't mind someone a little bit younger. I don't want players on the wrong side of their prime, and I think Gareth Bale is that. We want Bailly, not Bale, says Mark G. And Spurs lost. We'll be talking about that in a moment. And Bale is a Welsh Sanchez, says Nicky Collis. I mean, well, look, I'll bring this into this here because link in the video description for Football Index. I've mentioned it a few times. Effectively, what Football Index is, it's this system where you can buy shares, real value shares in players, and it's like the football stock market, as it says. So Gareth Bale, if you look at him over the last month, he's actually gone from about £6 a share up to just over £7 a share. Over the last year, he's been up and down, up and down, up and down. I actually had some shares in him. If you look at my portfolio at the moment, I mean, I've had another really good week. I was on £190 profit last week. I'm on £220 profit now. I've only been doing it a couple of months, but look at where I'm making the most of my, where my money's going up the most. 84 quid off Marcus Rashford. Bought him at £4.65 a share. He's now £13 a share. Also, where else? Mason Greenwood. I still think his price is going to keep going up and up and up. I bought him at 4.44. He's gone to 6.66. I've made 43 quid on him. And Pogba is somewhere around, which I've done quite well on. Paul Pogba, 50 quid on him. 12.14 a share. He's now up to 22. I only bought 5 shares in him. I wish I'd bought more. Link in the video description for that. You've got to be over 18 and please do gamble responsibly. But unlike a traditional bet, unlike a traditional £5 bet or £10 bet, if you lose, you lose. With the Football Index, there's a lot more skill to it. I think it's a bit like your FIFA Ultimate Team or your Fantasy Premier League. I would, if you were going to do it, go in with at least 20 quid because, well, one share in Pog was 20 quid. So the way I do it is I look at it as a long-term thing. So, but a lot of people, there's a lot of forums, there's a lot of websites and Twitter things you can follow. There's people who've made thousands out of it. But for me, I just do it more long-term. But there are some people who will look at the stock market, buy people who are booming, sell them when they drop, get somebody else in. So link in the video description for that. But it's interesting because what you do get on there is, because people are doing it to make money, the prices, dips and everything like that really do reflect how the player is performing. And the price will go up based on transfer news and good form. Well, the only reason Bale's price is sort of levelling at the normal level is because transfer news. It's not because of fucking form. He's been shit this season, to be honest with you. So I don't want Manchester United going anywhere near him at all. And that's my theory on it. Also, I must just say, in the top right-hand corner, that is the Arsenal Fan TV versus United Stand combined 11. It was me against Troops and Robbie with Flex holding the mic. And there was a cameo from DT at the end. So if you've not watched that, do watch it after this, the combined 11. Massive game tomorrow. No Lingard, no Ander Herrera. They've not travelled with Manchester United, which is disappointing. I never expected Lingard. I think Herrera would have been really important. Matic has gone. That's better than nothing. Martial's gone, Pogba's gone. So they're 3 players we didn't have. And the midfield battle, with them not having Torreira, I think having Matic is really important. It's a shame Herrera's just missed out. I think if we could have put Herrera, Matic and Pogba out, we would definitely win tomorrow. But heavily pumped up for that game. Can't wait for it. Obviously, we've got the watch along tomorrow. Massive game for United. There is something about me that's a little bit worried about it, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. Gustavo Cortez says Raheem Sterling hat-trick. Yeah, this is the Manchester United stand, not the Man City nobody's watching us, we've got no fans stand. I mean, Raheem Sterling for me, probably player of the year with Van Dijk. I was tweeting that earlier, but I don't want to dwell on it anything more than that. What I would dwell on for a moment, though, just reminding myself, Pochettino. Spurs lost today, 2-1. If we win tomorrow, I think we go level with them on points. Look, I'll say it again. I said it this afternoon. Point is this. At Christmas, we had no business being in a top 4 race, and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's got us into one. Last month, Spurs were in a title race, and now they're in a top 4 race. Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester United, Spurs are in a race for 2 spots, 3rd and 4th. It's game on. It's going to be very interesting. To be honest, this is yabba dabba doo time for us, because we thought we had no chance of 4th. We thought it was us, Chelsea and Arsenal going for 4th. We've just doubled our chances. So it's good. Like I say, I think if we can go tomorrow and not get beaten, it'd be great. But I think even if we did get beaten, I don't want that to happen, the top 4 race is not over because we lose tomorrow. So very, very interesting. I think what is over is Pochettino. I feel sorry for Pochettino. And the only reason I'm sticking up for him is I never wanted Pochettino. Even back before we knew what Ollie was going to do, I didn't want him. Who should Manchester United sign next, in your opinion, says Niall Mottershaw. I would go for Koulibaly or Sancho, personally. And Harold Holsversvold says, I'd take Zaha and Josh King and Odegaard. Highest chance creator in Dutch football, 2019. Assist or goal in every game, 2019, for Vitesse instead of Bale. Isn't Odegaard a Real Madrid player anyway? So isn't he the young lad that they bought? But in relation to Pochettino, there was a lot of you lot that wanted Pochettino, and there was nothing wrong with that. We didn't know what Solskjaer was going to be. I was talking about Zidane at the start. I mean, Solskjaer's just ripped up trees, beat the crap out of them, wiped his arse with them and throw them into the sea. He's just tearing the place up. Absolutely fantastic. And we all want Solskjaer to be our manager. I think everybody's on the same page with that. But there was a time when some United fans did want Pochettino. What I would say about Pochettino is this. I do think he's a very, very good manager. A very, very good manager. And I really do, taking my Manchester United red-tinted glasses off, I like what he does at Spurs. I find Spurs very inoffensive. If I had to pick who gets third and fourth, it's us and Spurs. I like Spurs. But if Spurs fans or any United fan is trying to slate Pochettino, there's only one person to blame. Daniel Levy and the board of Spurs. He has had no investment for the last 2 transfer windows as far as I'm concerned. And they're trying to battle for titles and top 4 without spending any money. I'm sorry, it's like swimming in a swimming pool with your arms tied behind your back. You can kick your feet for so long, but eventually you'll get tired and you will sink. And I think that's what's happening with Spurs. So I think Pochettino is probably highly pissed off because he couldn't take the United job in December because he's tied into a contract with Spurs. He probably was thinking, I will go for it in the summer, and now he's missed this chance because Solskjaer's done an amazing job. So I do empathise with Pochettino if he wanted to come to United, which I think he did. Why would we pick on a manager that actually probably wanted to come here and is a good manager? We're just in a better situation now, and we're happy with what we've got. But I do feel sorry for Pochettino. He needs to get himself away from Spurs. I mean, not spending money is ridiculous, and all these Arsenal and everybody else who's taking the piss out of him. To be honest, he's a very, very good manager. I saw what he did against half time at Wembley against Dortmund. Amazing tactical change. He's a good manager with very little resources. And but it just goes to show as well, Southampton last week, what a big 3 points that was for us. Because I said it all week as well. They played fantastically well against us. They scored 2 worldies, but they played very, very good football. And they've just gone and beat Spurs. And the English Messi free kick taker Ward Prowse scored another worldie. C. Donald, why are PSG such sore losers? It's truly sad because they're spoiled. They're spoiled. That's the trouble with PSG fans. They're spoiled. James Wee says, worried about PSG stealing De Gea. What's the absolute highest wages you would offer him to keep him at United? Look, we need to offer him a lot of money to stay at Manchester United. I mean, to lose De Gea would be ridiculous. But would De Gea go to PSG? I think De Gea's got more about him than that. I would trust De Gea not to go to PSG. I mean, we've just seen PSG. That was their cup final on Wednesday, and they bottled it. You know, the French league, they're 37 points above Rennes, who lost to owns a bar in Allo Allo and also played against Arsenal on Thursday night. They're 37 points ahead of them. It's a bloody pub league for PSG. They could basically put a 5-a-side team out for half the season and still win the league. Their only real drama is the Champions League, and that's a handful of games a season, and they never do well. I don't think they've ever been past the quarterfinals. So why would De Gea go there other than a big paycheck? And De Gea is still in his prime years. I don't think he'll want to leave United, to be honest. Bilal Hassan, do you think Pochettino will go to Real Madrid? I think he should. And I feel sorry for Spurs fans, but I think that the board not giving him any money and then expecting him to get top 4 is just ridiculous. And I have no problem with those fans of United who wanted Pochettino. At a time, I thought, he's not a bad shout. But obviously, everyone's going to want Solskjaer now because he's amazingly. Realistically, we aren't going to get Sancho or Koulibaly, says Luke Nannery. Well, I don't know. I really don't know. And Paul Robinson says we're only 3,000 subscribers away from 400,000 subscribers. Yeah, it's amazing at the moment. Thanks to everybody who's watching all the videos, whether you're watching them live or not. And hopefully, if we have a big day tomorrow, we'll be even closer to that. But make sure you subscribe if you're new. Bottom right-hand corner. Smash a like on the video. Seymour Turner Jr. says Spurs have given United more reason to beat Arsenal. Win and we're joint third. Ollie's at the wheel. You know what? I'm just going to say this about tomorrow. Manchester United should win that game. We should not get beaten in that game. We're going for 10 wins in a row. I mean, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has won every away game he's been in charge of Manchester United. And 9 away games, not just draw, not just unbeaten, he's won them all. But you know what? Because I've not been live since my trip to London yesterday, and obviously you've seen the content with the Arsenal Fan TV boys. They're all admitting we're favourites, and I think fair play to them for that. But they're very, very spiky. They're very spiky. Oh, you were lucky on Wednesday night against PSG. Oh, you're giving it the big un. And I don't think we are giving it the big un. I've not seen any United fans giving it the big un. I think there's some United fans who are going, oh, we're going to win tomorrow, and that's fine, fair enough. But I predict we'll win tomorrow, but I'm not stupid enough to think that we might lose. I mean, look, at the end of the day, as I said yesterday, Manchester City went to Newcastle and lost. So, of course, we can go to Arsenal and lose. And I do feel there's a funny feeling around this game. But Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is such a good manager. I don't think he'll allow complacency to fit in. And I think the fact that Pogba's had a week off could be huge because he's been such a big player. And I think he'll be buzzing to play. And he normally plays well against Arsenal. But I don't know. I don't know. It's a massive game for us tomorrow, and I'm really looking forward to it. Did you see Ollie walk up to Mbappe to shake his hand while the rest of the players ran to the crowd? Ollie has a lot of respect for him. Number one target, says John G. I think it would cost a lot of money to get Mbappe, a lot of money that we could spend elsewhere. I've said this before. Mbappe would probably cost upwards of £200 million. I'd rather spend £200 million on Sancho, Koulibaly and a midfielder than just Mbappe. But he is a fantastic player. Matic, Martial, Pogba, McTominay and Bailly. What's this about? Mourinho, phenomenal. No, I'm reading the wrong things. I'm reading 3 days ago's bloody lines. No wonder I was struggling there. What was I want to talk about next? Mkhitaryan and Brian Robson and to Heath Chung. So let's do Mkhitaryan next because we're just talking about Arsenal. So I read an article today about Mkhitaryan and how he could come back to bite Manchester United tomorrow because he's doing okay. I'll tell you what I think about Mkhitaryan. I think that Mkhitaryan is exactly the problem that United had and Arsenal have. Mkhitaryan on his day is a good player, right? He is a good player. But this is the sort of player that United don't need. We were right to sell Mkhitaryan. If Mkhitaryan scores 2 goals tomorrow and we lose 2-1, I'm not going to be there at full time saying we shouldn't have sold Mkhitaryan. You know why Mkhitaryan should have been sold by Manchester United? Because he's not good enough. Do you think Mkhitaryan would be a Man City or Liverpool player? You know as well as I do that Mkhitaryan's time at Manchester United wasn't as good as it could be. And he has done better at Arsenal than he did with us. But he's still in an Arsenal shirt. And any Arsenal fan would be honest about this. Mkhitaryan is an Arsenal player if they want to fight for fourth every year, which is pretty much what they've been doing for a decade. He suits them very, very well. But if you want to fight for a title, Mkhitaryan probably only makes your bench, nowhere near your first team. Because Mkhitaryan on his day is a good player, but he has a lot of average games. I'd say over a 40 game season, Mkhitaryan will have 20 average games, 10 very good games, and 10 good games. Well, that's not good enough. I mean, we just mentioned Raheem Sterling, Bernardo Silva, Firmino, Salah, Mane. Yeah, they have a few games where they're off colour, but actually when things are, the consistent thing is very good, exceptional. That's the thing about Mkhitaryan. I think this is where people get lost in what. This is why Manchester United, Chelsea, Arsenal at the moment are fighting for fourth place and not fighting for titles. Because we obsess about these Mkhitaryan type players that wouldn't actually be anywhere near the teams that are fighting for a title. They're good players, but they're not good enough to fight for title players. And that's what Mkhitaryan is. So yeah, maybe he will score tomorrow. Maybe he will have a good game. Would I want him back at Manchester United? No, because he's not good enough to build a team or be in a team that's going to win a title. Nowhere near. So I just wanted to say that. Can you pronounce Ole Gunnar Solskjaer correct? Says Shan Olsen. Mate, I'll say it how I want to say it. A lot of people say it many different ways. I think it's quite rude to actually say, can you to make a contribution and ask somebody to pronounce it properly, because people pronouncing things in different ways. If it causes you that much of a problem, then maybe don't watch the show. You know, I mean, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I say it how I say it. I'm quite offended by that. I'm not really. If you tell me how I'm meant to say it, I will try my level best to say it in the right way. But I've always called him Solskjaer. And Solskjaer's won it. I've always called him that. So there we go. What else? To Heath Chung. Read another article. So I've been reading a lot of articles because it's the weekend. Read something today about Heath Chung being sent out on loan for a season-long loan next season to get him ready for Manchester United football. Now, Heath Chung is 20 in December. Jadon Sancho is currently 18 years of age. So age doesn't matter too much. A lot of people took the mickey out of Lingard for a long time and said he's not a young player anymore, he should be doing more. But to be fair to Lingard, he really didn't start being a decent player until he was sort of 24, 25. Development curves are very different for different players. Look at Scott McTominay. Everyone says always, be fair to the kid, this, that and the other. He's 2 years older than Marcus Rashford, who's been a first teamer for 3 years. McTominay's 22 and a half. So age isn't massive, but I do think Heath Chung is getting to that point now. I think getting on against PSG in a game like that when we needed him, I know he didn't do particularly well, but it would do a lot for him. So I think Heath Chung going on loan for a year is probably a good idea. Is he near to being a first teamer? I don't think he is. I personally would love to see him part of the first team next year, but if he's not quite ready for that, I don't think he can have another season in the under 23s. He's going into next season. He's 19. He'll be 20 in December, halfway through the season. So if he could go and get himself a loan move to a Bournemouth or something like that. But of course, we've got to be very careful with this because we've not had a lot of success with this recently. Said the same thing about Fosu Mensah when he went to Palace. Said the same thing about Fosu Mensah this season when he went to Fulham. It doesn't work out. So the loan is good. I think to Heath Chung, Mason Greenwood and Angel Gomez are the three players that we're all excited about being first teamers for United, and not just first teamers but real stars of the future. How we handle their development is key. If we're going to loan them out, they've got to be loaned to the right club. I mean, I look at Ryan Giggs' development. We didn't loan him out. He was good enough. He got into the team gradually, and that was it. So interesting what your thoughts are on Heath Chung, especially. Hope Fosu comes back, says JBW. There's talk of him going to Ajax actually and leaving. Twan Seaby's doing very, very well. Paul Robinson. He didn't on his first season at Villa. Last season at Villa, he was getting a lot of stick because I live in the Midlands and I do keep an eye on how he's doing by speaking to my friends who are Villa fans. And last season, they didn't want him. When he renewed to come for another year, they were like, what a waste of time. But this season, they'd love to sign him. He's been brilliant for them. So Twan Seaby he's doing very, very well, and I'd like to see him back at United. But it's about the right loan move and patience with it. Ila Saban says he does need to go on loan. Beast Boy says Chong lacks physicality. I think that physicality will come. I mean, he is only 19. Different bodies develop differently. I mean, look at Lukaku. He was the same size he is at 25 as he was when he was 14. He was always going to be a footballer. I mean, basically just throw everybody out the way. But Chong might bulk out at 22. Look at Ronaldo when he was 19 at United. He was very gangly. So I'm not worried about Chong's physique. I'm not worried about Gomez's height. I think that will all sort itself out. But I think regular first team football, wherever it is, will help Chong's physicality definitely. Because he's a big guy. I mean, you saw him on Wednesday night when he came on. I think he got booked, didn't he? He flew into a tackle on Di Maria, and he knows how to put himself about a bit. So I'm not worried about that. But I think the regular football will serve him well. I am late. What did I miss? Says Pradney Wadke, and Drashan Singwi says hate DTs, an idiot, always a Mark fan. Says Darshan. Well, watch the combined 11 for the cameo with him at the end of that if you want to watch it. But Spurs lost, says Ray Core. I think he's just found out. Look at Rashford. Rashford bulked up in one off season, says Don Snaps. He did. Chong needs to go on loan in the Championship and not to the Dutch League to be really effective for United, says Krishna Kumar. The Dutch League might not be bad for him though. I mean, you look at the Dutch League now, Steven Bergwijn, Lozano, Memphis Depay. It is a competitive league and it might serve him well. The Championship it's a good league to go into, but there's not many. If you think about the Championship, there's not many flair players in there. It's a grind. It's good for centre backs. It's good for midfielders. Is the Championship the right place for a winger? I would probably actually err more towards the the Dutch league than the Championship for a winger. Bring back Raphael and Timo Werner, says Mohammed Hassan. Well, he's going to Bayern Munich, mate. And apparently his pep talk will be responsible for Aubameyang's performance, says Well, we were laughing about that yesterday. Look, I did speak to him off camera. I'm not going to joke about that. And actually, he did buy me a beer in a pub. So, there's still issues there. Of course there is. And there'll be issues tomorrow. If they win, I guarantee something will be said on his fan cam like it was before. But in all seriousness, look, that's a very, very big game for us tomorrow. And I hope that we can get the result in it. It's very, very important. But I did hear that apparently him and Troops saw Aubameyang at the airport, and they genuinely believe that if Aubameyang scores tomorrow, it's going to be because of their pep talk. Which is that. To be honest with you, I find that quite affectionately warm and funny, because it's like football fans genuinely believe that they've given them that extra thing. But that's why we love football, isn't it? But look, I don't know what it is. And you can talk to me about this in the match reaction tomorrow. There's something, before the FA Cup game when I was down at the Emirates and I did the stadium tour and I took the piss out of everything and I was like the French Charlie Austin and this, that and the other. I just didn't feel like doing it yesterday. And I don't know, that's worrying me, because I'm not like that. I like a bit of banter. And I'm like, why am I not doing it? We've won 9 games in a row. We've just won in PSG. We're amazing as a team. We've already been here and won. When I bantered them last time, we were the underdogs. And I think that's what it is. I think it's because we're the favourites. I don't like us being favourites because I still feel that's what it is. I've just hit it on the nail on the head. That's the great thing about talking through things live. And I bet many of you feel like this. What I don't like about tomorrow is that we're favourites. I'm proud of that. I think it's a great achievement that we are favourites going to somewhere like Arsenal, especially the turnaround we've had. But I think that's the problem with me. Why the hell are we favourites? Because we're doing really, really well. But we're doing really well with a team that's not really had any money spent on it. We didn't spend anything in January. I still think that there are massive areas of improvement in that team. And yeah, we're exceeding expectation, but I don't think we should be considered favourites. I don't like that. I don't like the fact that we're considered favourites, because we are just exceeding expectations, doing really, really well. I don't like the focus of pressure of favourites. I don't. I think that's what it is. I hope that's just what it is, and I'm not getting some subliminal premonition that we're not going to win. Because if we win tomorrow, as Robbie said, I think they'll be out I think they're out the top 4 race. We'll be 4 points clear of them. And if we win, we've got some really good games coming up before we play Chelsea and Man City, and they're both at home anyway. So people say Arsenal have got a better running than us, but if we win tomorrow, I don't see them catching us. It's a massive game for us, and you can guarantee that Ollie will have us up for it. Craig McCullough Games HD says that One Football is saying that Sanchez was spotted at Barcelona. I saw that picture, and he didn't look like Alexis Sanchez. He does look like Alexis Sanchez, but then I thought, is it somebody else? I thought Alexis Sanchez had gone to China, gone to Chile to recover from his knee injury. If he's over watching Barcelona won't want him. I don't know. Maybe just fancied like watching the game in Spain. I don't know. He's an odd one. Alexis Sanchez is an odd one. If you listen, I'm not talking about Man United here, but if you listen to what Alexis Sanchez at Arsenal, there were dressing room fallouts with people like Aaron Ramsey. Aaron Ramsey, whatever you think about him, I know he's leaving Arsenal, but British player, knows British football, passionate about the shirt he wears. It worries me why Aaron Ramsey's falling out with Alexis Sanchez. Apparently he was a loner at Arsenal as well. Now, I don't know whether these things are true at Manchester United, but when I was at United last week and I was watching things that you don't see on the TV because it's happening off the camera, Pogba, very, very angry and frustrated with Sanchez a lot of the time, not reading the balls, not tracking back. And you just think, what are the personality dynamics there? Sanchez does seem to go back to Chile a lot. There are a lot of rumours that he just does his own thing. I think he said that himself. I personally think, and I don't know whether I've said this, and I apologise if I have, I think if Sanchez hadn't damaged his knee against Southampton, we would have gone out on Wednesday, because he would have played. And I firmly believe that if Alexis Sanchez had played on Wednesday, we would have gone out. Because I know it's only one player, and on paper he's better than a lot of the players that did play, but he performed so badly, I think we wouldn't have been able to carry a player like that, because we didn't actually carry anybody. Whether Ashley Young's not a great player, but you don't carry Ashley Young. He does try. And you could say that about a few other players, but I think Sanchez, I think we would have lost. So I want him to go in the summer. I'd love him to turn it around. But the thing about Alexis Sanchez is we talk about him turning it around. Isn't he 31 this year? So the problem with signing Sanchez, and it'd be the same with Gareth Bale, so we've gone full circle. If you buy a player who's 30 for a lot of money, they haven't got a year to bed in. They haven't even got a week. You're buying somebody to be good now. So even if Alexis Sanchez comes good in the summer, he's still a flop because he's going to retire in a year or two. And one of those years we've had him, he's done sod all. So Liam Grogan says, I think we will go unbeaten domestically. I hope so, Liam. I hope so. And Schwingman86, why do you have mixed thoughts on the game tomorrow? I'm heavily confident and I can't see us getting the L. I don't know what it is, but I'm always honest with you. I don't know what it is. I just got. It's not that I have a bad feeling about tomorrow. I'm not saying we're going to lose. I'm not the same, and you'll know this. I'm not the same as the cup game against Arsenal, where I was full of bravado. I was like, yeah, we're going to do it, and I was totally confident we were going to do it. I'm just a little bit, and it could be a few things. You know what it could be? It could just be that PSG was so amazing that the excitement for this game isn't quite the same. It could be. I don't know what it is. It could be a few things. I'm certainly not saying I've got a bad feeling we're going to lose. I just don't feel as bravado confident as maybe I did before. But that could be the PSG thing as well. Mark, would you take a Sanchez for Zaha swap deal? Says Harry Waters. I would do, but there's no way Crystal Palace can pay Alexis Sanchez £400,000 a week. That's probably most of their squad. Lozano has handed in a transfer request. What are your thoughts? Says Tariso Chio. I think that's good and bad. I mean, I like Lozano. I've always liked Lozano, but just say this, and I always say this as well. PSV are a nice club. They're like Ajax. They're Dutch and they're a nice club. It is March. Why would Lozano be handing in a transfer request in March from a nice club? It doesn't make any sense. So I don't even know if it's true. But also, he is a Mino Raiola client, so it could be happen. Pradney Wadki says, did you read about the Cantona versus Neymar fallout? No, but I have noticed a lot recently, and I don't know whether it's purposeful or not. Maybe it's all about the battle for more followers on social media, but I think we're seeing more and more of this now. Ex-footballers sort of integrating themselves in fan community, which I think is good, but it's also dangerous, and I don't think it will continue forever because, I think a current footballer, one of the world's best current footballers, arguing with a legend of the last 20-year footballers, it's just something a bit odd about it. I think there should be some professionalism, to be honest, which sounds a bit funny when I argue with fellow football fan creators, but we're football fan creators. We're meant to argue. I don't know whether top footballers should be doing it, really. There's a lot of money in it and they've got a lot of agents and they should be not delving into things like that, to be honest with you. They're role models at the end of the day. Talking about role models, Brian Robson made a very interesting thing that I did want to ask a few of you about as well. He said that Chris Smalling should be captain. Why did I laugh before I even did it? He said that Chris Smalling would be a good candidate for Manchester United captain. Open the discussion floor. My initial reaction to that is Brian Robson is arguably one of the best Manchester United captains there's ever been. And what he doesn't know about leading Manchester United isn't worth knowing. But is this a case of he has identified something as mere mortals have missed and he's right? Or is this a case of brilliant footballer, not such a great pundit? I do not think that Chris Smalling is a captain of Manchester United. I've watched Chris Smalling for many years at Manchester United. I've always been quite fair to Chris Smalling. I've always liked Smalling. I remember when he got sent off in the Manchester derby and he was getting called all sorts of things by top Reds and all Reds. And I was like, nah, come on. There's no need for that. I don't think Chris Smalling should be our centre-back next season. I think he should be our third choice centre-back. I think he'd be happy to do that. He's very consistent. He's very reliable. And over the last 2 years, he's always stepped up to the plate when we've needed him. I think you need better next to Lindelof if you want to win a title. But I do like Chris Smalling. So that would be the reason he wouldn't be captain for me, because next season I don't think he should be a starter. I think he should be the third choice centre-back. And I think he's probably the best third choice centre-back in the league, which I've said many times. So that's why I wouldn't have him as captain. I also don't think he's a leader. He's not very vocal. I think he focuses on his own game, and some players are like that. You spend so much time focusing on your job that if you start focusing on others, it takes away from yourself. Being a captain and a leader isn't for everybody, and I just don't think it's for Chris Smalling. So that's the polite answer to a Manchester United legend suggesting him. Let's have a look at some of your comments. Lindelof, because of his age, says Michael. See, I think he is a leader. Mohamed Hassan says Herrera. I think he is a leader. I think Pogba potentially is Haib. What I would say about Pogba is what I said about Rooney. Rooney, everyone thought what a great captain, and then he was given the captaincy and the fire went out and it didn't suit him, because Wayne Rooney is a brilliant player, or was a brilliant player, when he plays on the edge of frustration. But you can't play on the edge of frustration if you're a captain, because you've got to lead by example. And I think Rooney lost something. Keane played on the edge of frustration but could also lead. He was probably one of the few players that could do that. So I don't know with Pogba whether it would take something away from Pogba's game being a captain. Maybe he could be. I think Lindelof could be a really good captain, and I think Herrera as well, but not for me with Smalling. We're going for Benfica duo, Ruben Diaz and Joao Felix, says Mackenzie Matalbian. Well, we spoke about that in the week. I don't necessarily think that we are. What dictates if you're a top red or not, says Sput Beers. Even I don't know the answer to that. They sort of make the rules themselves. I don't know what the rules for top reds are, but yeah, I'm not one either, so I don't know what the rules are. Some would say you've got to come from Manchester, but then a lot of them don't come from Manchester. Some would say you've got to go to away games, but I know a lot of people that go to away games who aren't like that either. Some say they don't even exist, and maybe they don't, but. Are you sponsored by Lyle and Scott? Says Shazor Khan. No, I wish I was. I just like their clothing. Herrera needs to sign the new contract. Michael Jones, that's a very, very good point. He still hasn't signed the new contract, has he? So, yeah, that would be great if he did that. Roy Keane in one word, magic, pods 30. Look, if anyone doesn't know, Roy Keane's my favourite player of my lifetime. Absolutely loved him. And, yeah. Whatever you think about him off the pitch, and I've heard a lot of things about him off the pitch. In fact, somebody only last week, who I know from not even to do with the football community, they said they'd met Roy Keane in Nottingham and he's a knobhead. But I've never met the bloke, so I don't judge people till I've met them. But it doesn't matter to me. I don't really care that Ryan Giggs slept with his brother's wife. I'm not bothered, because I don't know Ryan Giggs, I don't know his brother, I don't know the wife, I don't know the situation. It's not my wife, it's not my brother. He wore a shirt that I support and love, Manchester United, and he was brilliant in that shirt. I don't really give a shit if the player off the pitch is an absolute tosser. I'm not bothered. I'm really not bothered. If they're really nice, great. But if they're not, so what? It's what they do in a Manchester United shirt that matters to me. They're a legend because of what they do in the shirt. They're not a legend because of their personality off it. And I think that's the problem with role models. I had this when I was a teenager. You've got pictures of people on your wall. You idolise them. But as you get older, or as I got older, I was like, you know what? I don't really care if they don't sign people's... You know, somebody was telling me this story the other day about they went up to a footballer at a golfing event to get his signature. And it was a kid who went up to him. And that particular footballer said, "This is my time. I'm not signing anything. Goodbye." And it, really upset the kid. And I'm not saying that's right or wrong by the footballer, because you know what? If you get a lot of people coming up to autographs, maybe you do just have to have a barrier there sometimes. But whether that footballer's an arsehole or not, if he puts his shirt on the next day and scores a hat-trick, I love him, because that's all I'm bothered about. I don't care if they buy their mum a present every birthday. I don't really care if they bump into a car and drive off. I'm not bothered about what they do off the pitch. It's what they do on the pitch. And I think this is where media outlets, I mean, look at Rooney at Washington DC, and they're on about how he got drunk and something like that. So fucking what? If he goes and scores for Washington, I'm sure them fans are happy, and that's it for me. As I say, it's a bonus if they're nice off the pitch, but ultimately, as long as they do it in the shirt, I'm not bothered. I'm really not. And as long, of course, if they're doing something illegal off the pitch, then that's obviously not great. Sanchez is back in Spain with respect to his injury problems, says Gavin Clark. So there you go. And Fellaini, a better super sub than Oli, says Elite Martial. Obviously a little bit drunk. Drunk Mark podcast. The Drunk Mark Goldbridge podcast was on fire, says Disease Gaming. Yeah, I used to do that on the United Stand years ago, and I'm not allowed to do it on here anymore. So if anyone wants to watch my drunk walk home last night, it's on the Mark Goldbridge channel. I'm going to watch it back because I haven't watched it back myself, and I don't know what I was on about. I know I was on about porn. That's about it. But there you go. And Ryan Beals, rumour has it was John Terrier's Ryan Giggs in disguise. There we go. Right. Thanks everyone who's dropped a like on the video. Wow, we've gone past 1,000 likes already, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm just going to show you again as well, link in the video description if you want to play Football Index. It is the football stock market where you can buy shares in real life players and watch their value go up and down. As you can see, I've been doing it for a couple of months now. I do it sort of longer term. I'll just buy players that I think their price is going to go up over a period of time. And as you can see, I've got 220 quid of profit so far, and that's my portfolio of players. I've got Bergwijn, Koulibaly, Higuain, Chong, Pogba, Rashford. I got Higuain because I knew he was going to move to Chelsea, and his price has gone up. I should get rid of him actually now because he's not doing a lot in a Chelsea shirt. Ronaldo, he is down price, but I think it will go up again, especially if they win midweek. And as you can see, you've got players up and down all the time. If you like FIFA Ultimate Team or Fantasy Premier League, you're probably going to like this. As I said, if you're going to do it, I'd go into it with at least 20 quid because shares in players range between a couple of quid up to 20 quid a share sometimes. So Raheem Sterling at the moment is obviously going up. The prices go up based on performance on the pitch and transfer news. So if they're in the news for transfers, their price will go up, like De Ligt, although he did play well in the week. Link in the video description for that. You've got to be over 18 to play it, and please do gamble responsibly. There are forums, there are Twitter pages. If you get into it, there's loads of research you can do. People will give you like tips on who to look at and this, that, and the other. And yeah. Links in the video description for that. Tomorrow is a big day. Arsenal versus Manchester United. Massive game again, only a few days after the last massive game. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Smash a like on the video. And remember, I'll be live at 3:30 tomorrow with the team news, the watch along. We've got match reaction. We've got fan cams. We will have Robbie on there. I think DT is going to do one with Flex as well. I think Troops will as well. So we've got fan cams. We've got our own fan cams. We've got match reactions. Big game on the United Stand. Remember, we're live every day. Get involved with the channel. Thanks everyone for watching, whether you're live or not. And if you've not watched the combined 11, which was me versus Robbie and DT, Robbie and Troops, DT does appear in it. Click the eye in the top right-hand corner or go through the homepage. Have a great evening. Get some rest. We're back tomorrow for a massive game of football. Thanks for watching. Why would you do that? It doesn't even work. Do a fist pump. Fist pump. Fist pump. Fist pump. Fist pump.